Written by Cheryl Snyder. What is a hybrid animal? The ancient Greeks imagined creatures that were half one animal and half another: centaurs and minotaurs, griffins and manticores. These creatures may not exist, but animal hybrids do. They combine the traits of different species, and they are more common than most people realize. A hybrid is an animal that has a parent of two different species. For instance, horses and donkeys in appearance and behavior can mate with one another. If the mother is a horse, the baby is called a mole, and if the mother is a donkey, the baby is called a hinny. If different species mate, they don't always give birth to hybrid young. Parent species that are too different may not have lived offspring, or the young be made weak or unhealthy. When two species do produce healthy offspring, the species characteristics, the more closely related the parent species are, the more likely they are to have a healthy hybrid offspring. Most of the time, hybrid animals can reproduce. That's because the reproductive cells, eggs and sperm, are trickier to make more than regular body cells. Take the mole. Every cell in its body gets half of its DNA from one or horse and half of the dead donkey. The DNA molecules carry instructions for how cells operate, instructions for everything from hair color to ear shape. They endured the information that makes a horse and make a donkey. Horse and donkey DNA carries much of the same information, which is why more can survive, even though their cells don't have a full set of horse and or donkey DNA. They still have all the information they need to function. However, information is arranged differently on horse and donkey DNA. When the moose body tries to make reproductive cells, the mismatched DNA molecules throw a wrench in the gears. Two species have to be closely related to produce hybrid offspring when they mate, but they have to be really closely related for their offspring to make healthy reproductive cells. People have bred hybrids such as animal moose since ancient times. Moose are harder and more sure-footed than horses. They are also less sensitive to heat and less prone to injury. Human-raised hybrid. People have been bred hybrids such as moose since Another recent hybrid, buffalo, combines the trait of buffalo, and domestic cattle. Bison are hardier than cattle and produce meat lower in fat standard beef. However, like many wild animals, bison are difficult, even dangerous to handle. Buffalo hybrids are easy to handle as ordinary cattle, but have bison hardiness and independence. Like bison, buffalo are able to withstand both hot and cold temperature extreme. They produce meat that is low in fat and the bad type of cholesterol, with more protein than beef. A liger is a hybrid of a male lion and female tiger. Its ligers grow about twice as large as the parent species. Nearly known healthy male weigh nearly 1,200 pounds. They are usually tawny colored like lions, with pale bellies and faint stripes like tiger. Ligers never occur naturally since lion and tiger live in different habitats or reticulus. Avoid interpreting the big cats by independent breeders. Some raise big cat hybrids as curiosity. Other big cat hybrids include leopards, leopard lion, and jackals, jackal leopard, leopard lion jackal. Until recently, people could only obtain hybrids between species similar enough to mate with each other. Some species were somewhat similar can't or won't mate, so their hybrids didn't exist. For instance, even if given the opportunity, camel and llamas would rarely mate. When the modern medicine provides a way to fertilize eggs in the test tube, a camel llama hybrid became possible. Scientists hope this hybrid called karma will couple the camel's strength and hardiness with the llama's water deposition. The natural hybrids and the tricky definition of species. Hybrid animals can arise whether related species interbreed, which can occur with the hybrids can be surprisingly difficult though, because it's surprisingly difficult to define when animals are separate species. Scientists often define a species as a group of individuals with two important characteristics have the potential to interbreed in nature. If they do interbreed, they produce healthy, fertile offspring, that is, offspring that are able to reproduce. Ring species provide a great example of how can be um, how it can be difficult to determine the line between hybrids and distinct species. To understand ring species, imagine a group of preschoolers sitting in a circle. Each child represents a separate species sitting within arm's reach to another. Now imagine them playing a game of telephone. The first child whispers to the second, who whispers to the next, and so on. When the last child gets a message, it's usually completely different from the starting words. Changes in the whisper message are similar to changes around the circle of ring species. Each species is similar on those who either side, similar though they can interpret until you get back to the starting point. The starting and ending in species are most different from one another and cannot interpret. When species overlap, evidence suggests that ring species members change slowly as they adapt to species environmental conditions. The range of individual species overlap in some regions. Where they do, hybrids arise with far more each parent species than the hybrid though. The parent populations are not greatly affected. Sometimes two species that were isolated from one another are brought together abruptly. This situation, hybrids can cause problems for their parent species by competing for food, territory, or other resources. They compete, they compete for mates, potentially changing the genetic makeup of the original species. Over the past decade, changing environmental conditions due to climate change have brought together many previously separate species. Climate change has its greatest effect in the Arctic, where some native species are changing their natural ranges in response to rising temperatures and melting sea ice. Animals from further south might have previously found northern regions are too cold, extending their range northwards. The result is that the species that used to be geographically separate, such as grizzly and polar bear, now interbreed with one of the first grizzly polar bear hybrids, called roller bear, was spotted in 2006. The bear has thick white fur, brown legs and paws on a wild, grizzly-like head. All the other polar bears have been identified since that time, which suggests that grizzly and polar bears are regularly interbreed in the wild. What's the big deal? So grizzly and polar bear may have some brown and white polar bear cubes. Is that really a big deal? If plenty of polar bears roam the world, the answer might be no. The problem is that polar bears are at risk of going extinct, so every polar bear birth makes a difference. It becomes a number of it becomes a number game. The more polar bears interbreed with grizzly bears, the more their genes specialize for surviving the harsh Arctic environment gets diluted by grizzly bear genes. Eventually, polar bear might simply disappear. On top of that, polar bears may not be very well adapted to either of the parent environments. Polar bears in a German zoo seem to not have polar bears' instinct for seal hunting, but it's not strong swimming ability. At this point, no one knows whether these hybrids survive as well as non-hybrid in the wild. Creatures by design. What if you want a hybrid animal that combines the traits from species so that even mating in the test won't work? How about this trait? The ability to produce spider silk and the ability to produce lots of milk. Spider silk is stronger and more flexible than steel or camphor, as well as resistant to bacterial growth. These traits make it ideal for many medical uses. Researchers hope to use this trait in make artificial ligaments or nearly invisible stitches for eye surgery patients. Unfortunately, it takes 14,000 spiders to make one ounce of silk. Since spiders tend to eat their neighbors, large-scale spider farms out of the question. Instead, scientists use genetic engineering techniques to insert spiders' silk protein into goat DNA. The goat then easily produces spider silk protein in the milk, which is easy to collect. Someday, researchers hope to engineer that produce commercially full amount of spider silk. Since spider genes were inserted into goat cells in laboratory, spider goats are considered transgenic rather than hybrid animals. Animal hybrids, problem or solution. In the past, scientists thought that animal hybrids represent an evolutionary dead end. Most hybrids were sterile, and even those that could reproduce straight, the parents were properly combining the characteristics. The hybrid could end up adapted to neither. In most cases, this is exactly what we see in the future in nature. Hybrid species are usually poorly adapted to their environment and often fail to survive and reproduce. However, when species face drastic environmental changes, it may not be quickly to adapt to new conditions quickly enough to survive. Are hybrid animals a threat to the survival of at-risk species like polar bear? Or are they nature of having species cope rapidly changing the environmental conditions? They may be a bit of both. Only time will tell.
You pass. Wow! Perfect score!